Broadcasting live from the Temple Garden on the plain of Ravnica. This is Tap Tap Concede. Graham here.
James here.
And I'm Nelson.
Yeah, Nelson's back. How's it going?
Good. Yeah, it's nice to be here. I was away visiting my in-laws for a few weeks, and now my parental leave is done, so I'm back at YJ, so I might be a rotating cast member. We'll see. We'll see.
We might have to restructure when we actually record this.
I think actually the good news, though,
but it shouldn't affect you, the viewer, in any way.
That's right.
Yeah, it will still come out. My hope is that we will actually have more people at our disposal for this show.
Yeah.
So along with us three, we should also have Cameron, Kathleen, and Ben.
So it's either me or someone better looking than me who's sitting here.
Which is going to be pretty good.
What.
I think we'll get more variation, which is going to be good. I'm excited.
It's good for you. Yeah.
No matter who's hosting it, this show is brought to you by Card Kingdom. Check out cardkingdom.com/LRR for all of your card needs. They'll ship sealed product anywhere in the US, singles anywhere in the world, and very quickly. And if you tell them, Loading Ready Run sent me, button please, they'll give you a little 1-inch button. I think they're still, at time of recording, working their way through the last batch. But in future, there's 3 more designs coming, one of which says, math is for blockers.
I love that one.
Which came up a lot recently, and I really like it.
I love that one.
And also, this show and everything we do is brought to you by you and your kind support of our Patreon at patreon.com/loadingreadyrun. So, some Magic news to discuss this week surrounding the organized play structure for 2019.
Yeah.
But first, let's crack a pack.
Hey, before I forget, rule number 1.
Really?
Sweet.
You barely touched it.
I just want to jump in and say I want to do an extended shout out to our sponsors at Card Kingdom because they have new competition. You could instead be buying your sealed product from Amazon, but just don't because you can't get a button from Amazon.
Yeah.
And honestly, Amazon Prime probably still slower than Card Kingdom.
Actually, you could be
straight up,
right.
Straight up. And you have to pay for Prime. If you haven't paid for Prime yet, then whatever. But you know,
Card Kingdom Prime.
Card Kingdom's Prime for everybody. You
Yeah.
all have Prime.
There you go.
Unless you're in LRR, then you get the super secret Card Kingdom Prime Plus Mega Powers.
I wish that was a thing that existed.
Yeah.
All right.
Get on a Card Kingdom. We want our exclusive deals
Yeah.
when we buy our popper decks from you. Okay.
17. Wow, haven't gone high in a while. 2.
We rolled a
4,
1 first, but I think the first pack
6,
isn't even
8.
Magic cards.
I also didn't really roll it. I just kind of poked it.
Yeah, most DMs wouldn't allow that,
16,
James.
17.
That's
All right.
a niche.
We're going back to Shadows over Innistrad.
Great
Hey,
set.
that works. It's spoopy themed.
Yes. This was given to us by Roscoe in mail time almost a year ago.
October 17th.
October 2017.
Thanks,
Wow.
Roscoe.
So, cool. And it's not from around here, because the pack is... It's English, but the pack is a different material.
Is it? It's
It's
probably
from Walmart or something? Like it's from
No, it could be from
non-LGS.
It could be from Europe because
Yeah.
it says specifically.
Right.
It says it has a thing on it that says it's in English.
Yeah.
Which all
Okay.
the ones in North America just take as read that it's in English.
Okay, so
Oh, made in Belgium.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the
I
European
wonder
English
if there's
packs.
still some Carta Mundi or whatever the old manufacturer of Magic cards. I wonder if they still do. I thought they moved all their printing to America at some point. But then obviously since then they've branched out. So I wonder if they moved back into the... Because the first Magic cards, like the Alpha Beta through, I want to say like 7th edition or something, for quite a while, they were made in Europe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All of them, even the ones from North America.
I think so. Yeah. And then
Interesting.
I think they didn't move...
But like this is a different material of.
This is like a Ristic Studies question, probably. He's the master of like knowing, like figuring out the history of Magic. But yeah,
for all the foils you encountered, like that feels different. It's weird.
It's a thicker.
Yeah. Anyway,
if you want to learn more about Magic cards, go to your friend at the
stock
local
is
game
probably
store.
going to be different too.
Yeah, they're
Is it greasier?
Yeah, they're slippery.
Yeah.
First card, Throttle,
Hey.
or as it's known colloquially around the Loading Ready Run Moonbase, J.K. Flatten. Except that was Flatten, but whatever. Anyway, it's Throttle.
Flatten was the best version of this.
It was.
Well,
I guess Grasp of
Darkness
But
was the best
anyway,
version. Yeah.
4 and a black for an instant. Target creature gets -4/-4 until end of turn.
That's weird. In my brain, at this point, just like split the cards into limited and constructed. And yes, the constructed cards are in the limited packs, but they're not always commons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very good, obviously. Militant Inquisitor is a 2/3 human cleric for 2 and a white, and it gets +1/+0 for each equipment you control.
Yeah.
Not equipped to it, just that you have around nearby.
I never played this or saw it on the battlefield. I don't think.
Neither did I.
It wasn't very good.
It seems like a fine card
She's
for
holding a
some
lot of
sets,
stuff.
but not this one.
She's got a hammer, 2 swords on her back, and then like another glowing sword to her side.
If you manage to draft like
poker.
mono white delirium, then you probably want this.
Oh, hang on, she's
or
got-
you'll probably end up playing it.
Yeah, she
if
has
it's in your packs.
a mace, a dagger, on her belt, and she's holding a like flaming hot spear, and then she's got
So
2 swords on her back.
In
and
that
a hammer.
circumstance, that's pretty good because then that's like like an 8/3.
Yeah.
Although an 8 it's still 3 power, so I don't know.
3 toughness.
Or 3
yeah.
toughness, sorry.
What she wants is like the slagworm armor, right? She wants you to have like a toughness boosting thing. She boosts power
yeah.
on her own.
Deny Existence is 2 and a blue for an instant counter target creature spell. If it is countered this way, exile it instead of putting it into its owner's graveyard. Relevant in this set because of Delirium. You don't want them to have stuff in their graveyard.
Yeah.
Rotten Heart Ghoul is a Pillarfield Ox. It's a 2/4 for 3 and a black zombie. When it dies, target player discards a card.
That's a better Ox.
Could be
I mean,
you.
Yeah,
Maybe you want to turn on delirium. Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Moorland Drifter. 1 and a white for a 2/2. If you have Delirium, which as a reminder is 4 or more different card types in your graveyard. So,
And artifact creatures would count for both. You know.
yeah. So artifact, creature, sorcery, instant, enchantment, land, planeswalker, tribal technically.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you have Delirium, Moorland Drifter has flying. I recall this being pretty good.
This is the best card in the back so far.
Yeah.
Maybe throttle. Maybe throttle.
Maybe Throttle, yeah. Ember Wolf, 1 and a red for a 1/2 with haste. And for 1 and a red, it gets +2/+0 until end of turn. So the expensive fire breathing.
Yeah.
I recall this actually being like not bad.
It wasn't.
It's fine.
Yeah, it was.
You
not
can put it in
terrible.
your red green werewolf deck.
Yeah. Rabid
Oh,
Bite,
yeah.
1 and a
Speaking of-
green for a sorcery. Target creature you control deals damage to target equal to its power to target creature you don't control. So it's the one-sided fight.
The best kind.
Yes. You should have seen the look on both their faces. Hulking Devil.
It's a 5/2 for 4.
It's a Cobble Brute. It's
Yeah.
a 5/2 for 3 and a red. It's not great.
Nope.
Moldgraph Scavenger. Boy, this was a good one. 1 and a green for an 0/4 fungus. That doesn't sound very good, but wait. It gets +3/+0 if you have Delirium. So it's a 0/4 for 2, which just sits there and blocks a
everything.
lot in
Yep.
the early game. And then later in the game, it's a 3/4, which is honestly kind of annoying.
Yeah.
And you only paid 2 mana for it.
I actually found this one super disappointing. Like
Really?
every
I
time
kinda
you were
liked
in
it.
black green, you needed like actual spots for your finishers. Like you wanted to play the 6/6 for 6 trample, or you needed to get a black flyer or something.
I liked to not die in the first
Yeah,
couple
no,
turns.
for sure, for sure. Like it's fine as an 0 blocker. I never saw a game where it was like, oh yeah, this card held down 6 points of early aggression from a white or red deck and then attacked.
All right.
It's kind of just like it usually turns into a better wall.
Yeah, a wall that can actually kill them.
Yeah, exactly.
true. Or
Yeah, kill the attacker.
the
Yeah,
creatures,
exactly.
We have a transform card. We have Breakneck Rider,
Oh, yeah.
which I recall being pretty good. 1 red for a 3/3.
Already,
That's
we're,
it.
we're doing okay.
So it's a 3/3 for 3. And then, of course, the Werewolf Clause at the beginning of each upkeep. If no spells were cast last turn, transform Breakneck Rider, and it turns into...
Now keep in mind, that's the casting cost of Hurling Minotaur, and already we're up a power.
Yeah. Neckbreaker, a 4/3 that says attacking creatures you control. Not necessarily Neckbreaker, and Neckbreaker doesn't have to be attacking for this to happen. Just a static ability that says attacking creatures you control get +1/+0 and trample.
That's good.
These,
Yeah.
right?
He killed his own horse.
Yeah.
Also, the
And
naming,
anything else that was around.
the naming convention on this, Breakneck Rider, right, riding at breakneck speed into
then-
just Neckbreaker.
Yep.
Pretty clever.
Very good. Very good card.
Well done.
Flavor. So much flavor. Fleeting Memories. No, my butterflies. 2 and a blue for an enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, investigate, which was one of the mechanics for this set, which is investigating means you make an artifact. You create a token that is an artifact called a clue. You get a clue, which is 2 mana and sack it to draw a card.
They were good.
And, Fleeting Memories continues, whenever you sacrifice a clue, target player puts the top 3 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard. I never saw this work.
No. I don't really, I don't ever remember this being played.
I played Aggressive Mill in one deck, but I think this didn't come around. It was really hard to actually prioritize taking this. There was a good one. There was another blue uncommon from the same set that just once you had Delirium, you could start milling someone 3 a turn. But this card,
I don't remember it.
it just doesn't have a great
Yeah.
payoff. Yeah, it wasn't amazing.
Silver Strike, it's like Divine Verdict, but better. 3 and a white. It's like Divine Verdict, but different, actually.
Yeah.
So 3 and a white for an instant. Destroy target attacking creature.
You can't do a blocker. Yeah.
You gain 3 life. Yeah, exactly. I forgot that, yeah.
But this was great.
It's
Yes.
fine.
I mean,
Yep.
yeah.
Decent
Stopped werewolves.
defensive removal.
Oh, now this was fun. Crawling Sensation, 2 and a green for an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may put the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard, which is useful for Delirium. Whenever 1 or more land cards are put into your graveyard from anywhere for the first time each turn, you put a 1/1 insect token onto the battlefield.
This card did work.
Also, Evolving Wilds.
Yeah,
was in the
was
set.
in the set, yeah.
So you could do that on their turn.
That's right.
And get 1, and then on your turn you do the mill, and then you do the Delirium.
There
We
might
had-
even be a black instant that sacrifices a creature or a land.
Oh, I think
Is
there
that right?
was.
Like
yes,
an Altar's Reap?
You're right.
But you could do a land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a zombie and a checklist card, and our rare is Welcome to the Fold. 2 blue, gain control of target creature if its toughness is 2 or less. It also has Madness for X blue, which, and it says if Welcome to the Fold's Madness cost was paid, instead gain control of that creature if its toughness is X or less.
I don't ever remember playing this.
I
It
do.
seems cool.
If you could madness
mean,
it in the middle of combat, that's
It's
pretty sick.
Yeah, it's mind control.
I played it once, but I think I had to hard cast it. It was tough. You know, like both the Delirium and Madness mechanics in this set, you had to try and make sure you picked up the payoff cards if they were like the best payoff cards first, so that you weren't signaling that that thing was open. But then you also had to make sure you got the enablers, and like it was a crunch. I remember every draft that I got into where it was like trying to be Madness or Delirium. It was usually like a bit of a crunch to like get enough of both. Yeah, I ended up just drafting red green werewolves or like white humans a lot.
I just realized the way that Madness is templated, which I've never read before. Just, if you discard this card, discard it into exile.
Yeah.
Right.
When you do, cast it for its Madness cost, or put it into your graveyard.
And that's part of a Madness update to the rules that happened with Shadows over Innistrad.
Really?
Yes, there used to be a Madness zone.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was basically exile, but it was like you would first discard it to the Madness zone, and then if you wanted to, you could cast it, and if not,
So there's
you
no
would
longer
put it
a
to the
Madness
graveyard.
zone?
Yeah, that's
Aw.
right.
So,
Sorry.
So the zones.
Man, that's going to be awkward when that new playmat comes out. I added in the Madness zone. I'm
No,
sorry.
that's great.
I didn't tell you.
Who let you into the file? So the
The Manic Scribe is that.
Thank you.
Oh, Manic Scribe.
Which I wanted to talk a little bit about the art of this card, and hopefully, maybe the first person who watched it can start the comment or whatever. But shout out in the YouTube comments or whatever in the thread, or push like if you also didn't see all of the clues in the art that Emrakul was coming, and one of them's in Manic Scribe. There's a bunch of cards from this set that have like people who have already started, or animals that have already started turning into Emrakul's followers. They've been. Yeah, I don't think we got one.
the one with
it
the-
wasn't like every piece of art. It
the-
was like 5 or 10 pieces of art.
the Incorrigible Youths was a particularly interesting
Right.
one.
Okay. Yeah. Do they
And
start
the-
having tentacles? But yeah, you can see the Manic Scribe has like 6 fingers or something because one of them's a tentacle.
Yeah.
But I never noticed it the whole time. So those are
Also,
great.
her quills
aha.
are through her hands.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Right.
yeah, there's that. There was
Well,
there was
that
the
doesn't necessarily give it away.
true.
That's
This
just
is
Innistrad.
This is still Innistrad.
Yeah.
There's the Incorrigible Youths that they have like tentacles and weird faces and extra eyes.
Right.
There was the Investigator.
Yes, Thraben Inspector.
Thraben Inspector.
So that was like the most played one from Constructor. So we were playing this card in Standard, and like still, I think that card even maybe gets played in some other Constructor formats. That card is just big game. But yeah, and he's just like looking at some tentacles. It turns out it's like, wow,
Yeah, some,
how come
like-
we didn't notice?
Weird, like Emrakul looking, just like stuff kicking around.
They spoiled. I can't remember which Mythic Rare it was, but they spoiled a Mythic Rare last in Shadows over Innistrad on purpose, and I was just expecting it to be Emrakul because we knew from the storyline of Battle for Zendikar that like, well, Emrakul's gone somewhere, and so there were these clues that she was coming to Innistrad, but then she didn't come until the next set in
Yeah.
Judgment.
Well, also, the set was called Shadows over Innistrad,
Right.
which was evocative of Shadow over Innsmouth,
Okay.
which
right.
is a Lovecraft story.
Lovecraft story, right.
About eldritch horror. And so people were like, wait a minute, we have eldritch horrors in Magic the Gathering, and one of them's currently unaccounted for.
Yeah.
It's-
So
people-
the setup was there, but then it was like they managed to do a double bluff and make its
Yeah.
way 3 more months.
People
right?
actually, I think, were unfair to Wizards, because when they did finally reveal that it was Emrakul, everyone was like, well duh.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Yeah.
what an obvious storyline to have gone with, and it's like they.
No, I want to give
'Cause
Wizards all the credit for this one. I think
Because
they
the
deserve
set
it.
comes out all at once, right? It's not a Magic set is actually not a good storytelling mechanism for a mystery, because it's
Right.
like, here's 200 cards,
That's right. Yeah.
right?
Figure it out.
Here's
It's
everything.
It's
all
like
at
trying to
once.
read a mystery novel when you're like one of those fairies that exists in all parts of their life at the same time, right? Like your idea of time, instead of it being like a path up a mountain,
Yeah.
it's just an overview of the whole mountain, or it's like
Well, you
it's like a
can't-
river that you're in all of. It's not a river that you're floating down. You are the river.
You can't have a narrative arc when each
Yeah.
page of the book happens all at once and needs to stand on its own.
Right.
So, I thought it was great.
So they did a great job with that one. Yeah.
Now on to things that maybe they didn't
Yes.
do as
Now-
well of a job of.
now
Who
let's
knows?
now let's land-base them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Big changes.
Compliment sandwich. We're gonna give you a compliment or something. End of the show, Wizards. Yeah.
I'll think of
Yeah,
something.
that's
All right.
right, yeah.
So yeah, big changes to the organized play structure.
That's right.
For 2019,
Yeah.
which they've said even that is going to be a rebuilding year.
That's
or
right. We
something.
don't have all the information yet. So Blake wrote an article, and it was published yesterday, right?
Yeah,
And they did a stream as well
But
talking about
right.
everything.
But someone else on someone else in that department on Twitter was like, it's going to be a little weird in 2019, and then it'll sort of
You'll
solidify
see-
in 2020.
yeah,
but it's
you'll
like
see what we're trying to
they
do
have
here.
way more information than we do.
Yes.
Yeah, similar to like the other change we found out about earlier this week or last week was the change to GP Vancouver. That was going to be so that's in our neck of the woods,
I'm
right?
bummed about that.
So
yeah,
I-
obviously. It's
So yeah,
the
the
change-
change was
LRR's
James,
going
go
to
for
be
it.
bummed about this.
Well,
yeah.
so GP Vancouver was originally scheduled as a team limited event. So it was going to be Guilds of Ravnica, team limited. So 3 players versus 3 players. We don't know why they changed it.
No,
I
they said more information coming
they
in
said
November.
they'll tell us
Yes.
later. Yeah.
So we do know that they're going to tell us at least a little bit more why. My initial thought was pretty simple, and we'll find out if it's true or not. But it's just the timing of that GP is super awkward. It's scheduled to happen at the end of December, between Christmas and New Year's. Like it's I think it's like the 29, and it's like 28, 29, 30. And 30 is like the Sunday,
Right.
which means Saturday or Monday being New Year's Eve. I have to imagine that that's a really hard sell for basically anybody to go to that doesn't just live within this kind of the Pacific Northwest region, right?
Yeah.
Like you're going to get people from Victoria, you're obviously going to get people from Vancouver. You're probably going to get people from Seattle, but
Again, for
maybe
sure.
not as many as normal. You'll probably get people from like Calgary and
Rest of
Edmonton,
British Columbia.
but again, not as many as normal. And maybe again, my initial reaction was just it seems like a much easier sell as a normal limited event rather than saying, oh, you want to come and play in this GP. By the way, you also need 2 friends to play in this main event. That was my initial read on it, and I guess we'll find out.
I expect that we are in the minority, but there certainly was a bunch of people in the thread for this announcement being like, "Oh, we had already planned."
No, absolutely.
Like I had a team, we had travel
Yeah.
arranged. Yeah.
Brian Bronduit had a pretty good tweet where he's just like, there's nothing like a job well done. I feel so good about having just booked my tickets with my 2 great friends I'm going to this GP with, and they both just quit their jobs so they could play limited with me, right? And like that's a little facetious, but like that's the point, right?
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
sort of like this is, and it's tough because this is a pretty long amount of time they gave us. It's not like no time before
Yeah.
the GP. It's October. It's
But
the
the
beginning
team
of October.
event,
It's 3 whole months. that
People
they
do
gave us.
plan in more in
Yeah.
advance for it. Like
Well,
we
people
had,
start their plans as soon as they see the schedule. So the GP schedule came out today. People are starting to
We had
plan,
been
right?
talking to Channel Fireball about like doing stuff
Right.
with them, right? Doing
Right.
like team loading ready run, and in fact, we were going to have like 2 teams because there's enough of us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were going to do like a whole sort of thing.
I
About it.
messaged Dennis, who's our contact there,
Oh, yeah.
and I was like, Dennis, I know that maybe I haven't been the best about getting back to you in a timely manner. But to change the entire format of the GP out of spite is just a lot.
That's rad. Yeah.
To which I said, haha, JK, LOL.
Of course.
But, and he's like, you'll find out more in November. And I was like, yeah, okay.
Some folks were also annoyed. I just wanted to say some folks were also annoyed, and I think rightly, that it was just sort of, it was the, what account was it? It was just sort of casually tweeted by like CFB events, like not even Channel Fireball. It was just sort of like, hey, we're changing the GP.
Oh, yeah.
Just sort of, like it wasn't. The Pro Tour account didn't announce it. Channel Fireball, it wasn't on. It wasn't on any. It
wasn't
on
a
any
mothership. There wasn't a important update. Right.
Pro tip for anybody out there: if you're gonna change something because of legitimate reasons, but you instigate that change before you tell us what those reasons are, people will get angry.
Yeah, it's tough.
People will probably still get angry if you tell us what your reasons are, but at least they'll have the reasons. At least they can't look to you and say, okay, but why would you tell, like, I understand why you're telling us now, but tell us the whole story.
Yeah. So and there's a mystery there, right? So there's a riddle there, right?
Maybe Emrakul's going to be there.
Maybe just quickly to jump on what James was saying, maybe it's a situation like this where if you wait until you're allowed to say why, then it's too late.
Sure.
Right? But there always does seem to be an appearance of surprise.
Yes.
Of sort of, I don't know, why are people annoyed? Just know that they'll be annoyed. Maybe you can't avoid it, but at least be aware.
I think the tweet had something, or maybe it was a subsequent tweet that was like, we're sorry for any inconvenience. But yeah, it's tough. They're in a tough position. So I assume that, obviously they wouldn't do this unless they had a good reason. They've said they're going to tell us some more things later.
Yep.
I hope that the reason isn't just that, like you mentioned earlier, I actually hope it's not that they're worried it's not enough sell and they haven't received enough pre-registrations yet.
They haven't put up the pre-reg page
right,
yet.
So it's not. So it can't be that. You can't decide before a pre-reg page goes up, like, oh shit, no one's coming to this GP, right? Like that can't be it. And also, like, the team events, I think, have been doing pretty well. There's been way more Team Magic this year, and I'm excited about it. I've liked watching it. I haven't gotten to play in much of it, but in general, I've always been a big fan of Team Magic.
I'm still going to go.
Yeah,
but I was excited.
I couldn't go before this time. I have family Christmas happening.
Well,
away, so I can't go. But that wouldn't matter if it was $10 entry and everybody gets beta sealed. I still just wouldn't be able to go,
I feel like if it was $10 entry and everybody got beta sealed, you would probably try to find a way to go.
I love my family a lot.
I feel like your family would understand if you were going to escape for the weekend.
Let me explain estimated value.
I need you to understand what
to tell my
means.
kids.
Daddy's going away for a few days.
But the point is, so it can't be that people weren't registering enough. So it must have to do with the fact that running the event as team limited was somehow problematic. And my favorite Reddit comment I saw, I don't remember who posted it, but I'm sure a lot of people thought it, at least one person wrote down, was just like, I'm calling surprise Masters set. Now, why that couldn't work as team, I don't know, but maybe they, the Masters sets have often had, or there might be some kind of different set, like it might just not be Guilds of Ravnica Team Limited. It might not be Guilds of Ravnica Limited, period. Yeah. So it's like, it might be a set where they were just like, so this doesn't work as sealed, or this doesn't work as team sealed, because we designed it to be draft or whatever. Like, I remember the first Master set, I went to the Las Vegas sealed, and I was just like, well, okay, this was fun. I'm glad I came. But this format as sealed was kind of wonky.
I feel like if they do that, and you think people are mad right now, they're going to be real mad in November when you're like, oh, by the way, we're giving, this is the first chance to draft this brand new set,
Now you have less time to plan.
You have less time to plan. And again, it's not a great time for a GP. Like, they released and we'll get to this in a second, it's not called a GP anymore, but they released the schedule for next year.
That won't be a GP, right?
It'll be the last
GP.
It'll be the last GP. Yeah, that's a good point.
Right, yeah.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that in a minute. But next year they announced all the events for next year, and there isn't one at that time. Like, rightfully so. Yeah. They stopped them at about mid-December.
I think it's December 20th there's one or something, right?
Yeah, it's like the weekend before Christmas.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
But like, again, the weekend between Christmas and New Year's is just a very silly time to do it. But we'll be there. But I think that's
say hi.
That's enough of Vancouver. Let's get into
this.
Talk
about 2019.
So 2019, big changes. Yeah. Probably the biggest is the name. No, I'm just joking. Man,
might be
people
the
like to
biggest.
get angry at this. It's called MagicFest now.
So this is actually something that we've been talking about for a while of what a GP weekend should look like.
Correct.
Which is this. So the intent here, I'm actually super happy about, because basically what they're saying
makes
is
sense.
instead
Makes
of a GP, it's a MagicFest.
Yes.
The MagicFest will have a Grand Prix.
Correct.
There will be a Grand Prix main event at the MagicFest
Yes.
in whatever city it's in that weekend.
Yeah.
But it's not like it's
right.
actually, they're not going to look that different from the way the GPs look now.
At least to start with, I bet they will be identical.
Yeah, but it's
but
the idea of, you should come to this if you like Magic, even if you're not playing in the Grand Prix.
Yes.
Right? Because we've been saying for years, like, it's a modern GP, you don't play modern, you should go anyway. Because there's side events, there's other stuff to do, and so now they're leaning into that other stuff, right? So there's the side events, there's artists and cosplayers and panels and other stuff, and a Grand Prix that is also there. That is the biggest tournament that will be happening there, but it's not the focus of the weekend.
Yes.
That's super cool. The name. Did you see that the Edinburgh
Yes.
International Magic Festival,
Yep.
aka MagicFest,
Yep.
contacted Saffron Olive on
Yeah.
Twitter
Yeah.
because
Oh,
he was
Saffron.
tweeting about it.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Hey, we have some concerns about you using this name for your event because we've already about confusion and everything." And Saffron Olive was like, "Oh, no, I'm just talking about it. You need to talk to Wizards."
Yeah,
That's
Wizards
awesome.
and Channel Fireball.
Hey, that's hope.
Yeah, I guess.
It's gonna be called something else in 2020, guys. It's
This
great.
is. I feel like of all the things to get riled up about, the name is probably the lowest on the ladder. It's
Yeah.
not the best name, but
It's a fine name. I don't have a problem with it.
It gets across exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's a festival of Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
Right. Like it does what it needs to do.
I like
so
Paul's suggestion.
I want to poke fun at the name.
Havoc Festival.
Havoc Festival.
Yeah,
Yeah,
go
yeah.
for it.
I want to poke fun at the name, but I also disagree completely. Like, actually, when I was first getting into competitive play, it would have been really helpful to me to understand that the main event is one part of
Yeah.
what happens at a Grand Prix, and I would
Yeah.
say it compromises about a quarter of the total activity, something like that. Now I've judged a bunch of Grand Prix, so I feel like my take on that is somewhat valuable. But like as a player, thinking that it was just about this super competitive high payout tournament,
Yeah.
that turned me away from going for the first few.
Yeah.
Until I wanted to play
And
in
that's-
that.
I mean,
and
we've
then I
been-
went and I was like, oh, I should have come last year. Like,
Yeah, we've been saying
Yeah.
that for literal years on this
Yeah.
podcast. Like I've been to over 20 GPs now since 2011, and I've played in the main event 4 times.
Yeah, and that's
right.
totally fine.
Like,
yeah,
go to these events,
sure.
even if you don't want to play in the main
I've only
event.
ever
They're-
played in limited.
they're a place to play Magic,
So,
even if you don't
I've
play
never
the main
played-
event.
I've never
Absolutely.
played in the.
Yeah.
But I've gone to like a half a dozen constructed GPs because there's 1,000 other things to do with
Yeah.
these things. And
Absolutely. Some people just shop,
yeah.
and you can spend your whole day not because all the stores are there.
You make some sick trades.
You can just wait in line and get all your cards signed, and that's like an activity. There's lots of stuff to do. So the idea that they're promoting, hey, this isn't just the main event of the Grand Prix, that's great.
So the other, another interesting change, and one that I fall on the side of kind of disagreeing with is, but I see the reasoning, is they've announced the dates and locations for every MagicFest next year. From January to December, they're there.
And they typically have only
But
told us the first 6 months before. So
Generally,
that's
they've done
different.
that. Yeah. So this is different. But what they're doing is they're only telling us the formats for the first quarter. So they're not telling us. They're telling us January, February, March, and we know what January, February, March looks like, and we'll know what April, May, June is going to look like
In January.
in January.
Yeah.
And I like that. It gives them flexibility. It means that you don't say, hey, there's going to be a standard.
Get the situation we're in right now with GP Vancouver.
Yeah, but I don't think that's the case, right? I think people were excited about Team Limited. But like, if say you have a standard event that you've already put on the books for November and October rolls around and maybe people aren't super keen on standard, it's harder for them to be like, okay, we won't do standard, we're going to do limited instead because people are excited, or we're going to do modern, or we're going to do legacy, or whatever. I think the flexibility there is good, but people are also, and I think rightfully kind of annoyed about it, is it makes planning for future GPs really hard, right? Like, you want to know what you're going to play, the average person probably only gets to go to, one. Anybody who looking at GP schedules probably gets to go to like 1 or maybe 2 a year.
Mm-hmm.
And if theirs is in the summer and they don't know, and summer is worse than maybe the other months because there's a lot of stuff going on, your vacations and school's out and all this jazz, it feels bad when you're like, I want to go play in a GP, but I don't know if that GP is going to be a main event that I want to play in.
So counterpoint, if you are a pro player Grand Prix grinder,
Yes.
you might not care.
True, but that's not the
And-
majority.
yes, and if you're not, as we were just saying, they've said where all the Magic Fests are happening.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
if there's one near you, you're probably going to go to a Magic Fest no matter what the Grand Prix format is.
Correct. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
So-
I agree that you will probably go there regardless. But
Speaking of which, where's the nearest one to here in 2019?
Seattle.
Oh,
There's
that's not bad.
There's so
Seattle
Is it
in
like
fall?
is it on Desert Bus again?
No, it's Seattle in I can't
could
remember.
look it up. I'll
so
find out.
Vegas is in
We have Calgary, Seattle, and
We have Calgary, Seattle,
Portland next year. Those are the
Portland,
ones that are the three
and-
closest to us.
and,
right?
I mean,
Ve-
we'll-
Vegas.
Vegas. We'll
Vegas
be in
is like the
Vegas.
cheapest flight or whatever.
Vegas is like
It's like cheaper to get to Vegas than Calgary, right?
they have very clearly sort of, and I kind of wish that it was Seattle and not Vegas. I get it. Vegas is big and flashy and fun.
Yeah.
But
It has cachet.
but I don't think it. I don't know. I love going to Vegas, and I will continue to go to GP or Magic Fest Vegas every year because it's a blast. It's generally speaking where all of, especially like content creators, get together, which is a lot of fun.
It's those cheap flights.
Yeah, it's cheap flights. I think the big so the 4-day ones are Vegas and Seattle, and there's another one.
Oh, Seattle's a 4-day?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was 4-day last year as well, but they still don't.
they didn't go.
They still don't. They didn't quite make it as big a spectacle as Vegas always is, and I think just sort of by default is by virtue of being in Vegas.
At time of recording, it seems like the Magic community is breaking this CFB events page.
Perfect.
So I don't know how many of them exactly we're going to next year. But I
Right.
know there's Calgary, there's Portland.
There's Calgary, Portland,
Vegas,
Seattle, and Vegas. There is
Yeah.
no GP Vancouver for us next year.
That's right.
So I
can't
agree.
read
Like,
the
but
price
I do see people. I definitely do see the side of people who are like, but I want to travel for this GP. I think it's different for people who are like, well, I live in Minnesota, so obviously I live in Minnesota. I play Magic, therefore I will go to Magic Fest Minnesota whenever it is. But if you live, 4 or 5 hours away from Minnesota,
You might only
and
want to
it's
go
because
if it's modern, because that's what you play.
yeah, and it's a bit more of a trek, and you want to go because you want to play in the main event, then
Where do I go?
that's fair.
Probably there. It's the 2019 schedule there. So if you're looking at that, and then I'll look up the. So they also
you
have
were-
changed the prize structure.
I'm trying
yeah.
to find the page that just
Right.
failed to load for you.
Yeah.
The prize
so
structure
the
page.
schedule page for 2019 should hopefully be on there somewhere. Oh, I'm doing it again. I was just telling everybody that I learned how to put a lapel mic on at LoadingReadyRun about 5 years ago.
You're muted currently.
Okay.
I'm trying to lean over to you to get
Sorry.
the.
How about that? Okay. Maybe we'll fix that in editing.
Probably
not.
Probably not.
Probably
I
not.
can't find the page that you were looking at.
Darn it. Okay. Well, I Googled 2019 MTG schedule, I think.
Why do we live in a world where information for anything Magic is hard to find?
It's really hard, actually. So I found out
this
about
website does not look
I
good
found
on
out
mobile.
about this announcement yesterday because another judge in BC left a cryptic, passive-aggressive post on a Facebook
There.
community for judges, and I was just like, "What?" But I didn't even comment in like, "What do you mean?" until after I had Googled like MTG GP changes and like nothing came up. You know what I mean? Like there was no
we go.
link.
All right. so
great.
Let's talk about the money.
Yeah,
prize
let's
stru-
talk about the prize structure.
has changed. So there's you can eventually find this page if you try announcing the prize structure. Thank you. Sorry.
Stop that from bothering you in case it comes up.
So I'm just going to read it
Yeah.
verbatim for you.
Yeah.
It announces the prize structures. There are 4 of them. One of them totals up $35,000, then $50,000, $65,000, and $80,000.
So that's 4.
Different prize
there's
structures.
4 tiers,
There's
of,
4
tiers of Magic Fest, of GPs, because there's still GPs, I
Right.
think.
So there's 4 tiers of prize pool
That's right.
for GPs. Do we know how that's being allocated?
No, great question. Grand Prix vary from weekend to weekend, so we are taking steps to make prize pools that reflect that. We are replacing the previous two-tier main event attendance-based system with a 4-tier system that will be locked in before registration for each Grand Prix opens. Based on your feedback, we have changed the prize pools to pay a higher percentage of players and make the main event payouts less top-heavy than the previous system. And then tells us the four levels of pay. So they're less top-heavy. I haven't looked at it exactly.
Less
but yeah.
top-heavy means better for more people, but not good for the pros who will be the loudest.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, if you're used to winning $10,000 if you're in first, and you still get to do that if you go to a top tier payout, and you'll know before you register whether or not that's the case. The minimum you'll receive for coming in first is $6,000, but the minimum you will receive for coming in 5th through 8th is only $750 in that bottom one, versus the 12. I mean, the top 8 payout from the $8,000 or the $80,000 prize pool I think is the same as we currently have: $10,000, $5,000 for first, second, then $2,500 and $1,250 for 5th through 8th. I think that's what we already have this year.
Just to clarify my sort of snide comment, not to say that pro level Magic players should not be upset about the potential of them making less money, just that,
Well, they'll be the loudest about it partly because, like, most of them have big followings, and, like, that's part of their job, exactly. Right? Like, if you're a Magic pro, hopefully you are giving back to the community by, like, making lots of Twitter posts, doing streams, having a following. So, yeah, absolutely. Those are things to do. And so the fact that lots of people care what the payout for the top 8 is because they are fans of the people winning, I think is okay and not necessarily.
So at the lowest tier,
maybe it's just my fault.
They pay out to 64th place, and those people get $300,
which I think is the same as it is right now.
At the highest tier, they pay out to 225th place, and those people get $200.
So 225th though.
So I don't know.
So what the heck is how are they going to decide between the tiers? Right? Like they haven't told us that.
So that's what bothers me is that it says we're replacing the attendance-based system with a new system.
We're going to let you know. Yeah.
My assumption is, look, they have numbers, right? Like they have numbers from decades of these events.
Yep.
They know that, we know that GP Vegas, GP Seattle, those are going to be tier 4 events. Those are the big events, right? Like they are the marquee events of the year. And then they'll just look at, I would assume this is how they would be doing it, because it's the only way that kind of makes sense to me, is they'll see, okay, we're doing GP Chicago this week. And historically, GP Chicago, or MagicFest Chicago, or whatever the hell we're calling it, historically, those have been medium, right? Like there's medium attendance. Like we know that we're doing standard, we know that we're doing it in the central United States. We know that this many people will probably register. Therefore, we are going to set this as a tier 2 event or a tier 3 event. But the problem is that there's no visibility. There's no visibility for us to know what those numbers are unless they tell us, right?
I sure hope that that's not how they're doing it. I mean, that's how pre-release allocation for WPN stores has kind of always worked, where your previous pre-release dictates how many pre-release packs you can buy and then sell like entries into pre-release for the next one. But like there's always a seasonal change in players. It's dramatic at some stores. Like if you run a Magic store in a tourist town, you're always just coping with the fact that like, in September you end up with like 200 extra packs you could have bought but don't need. But then in June, it's like you just ran, your 3rd in a row low attendance event, and now you have those 200 players, and you have to say no to a bunch of them. So, I mean, it's different from year to year, obviously, and it's probably the attendance in GPs is probably going to be more stable, I would guess. I don't know why. But then invariably they'll end up being one event that spikes. Like there's going to be a GP Indianapolis where 2,000 more players than the previous year show up because the format's cool or Magic is growing right now or whatever the reason is. And then, the 65th place player is going to end up having the same record as like the 16th player or something like that. And that'll be a horrible feel bad.
Do they have the ability to change the tier on the fly? Can they say, oh shoot, like we set this as a tier 2, but clearly we should have done a tier 3 or a tier 1 as a tier 2?
The thing is that CFB Events is telling us that they're not doing it based on attendance. So I want to believe that to the fullest extent. So maybe they really mean we're just going to decide how much money is going into this prize pool based on something other than how many people show up. And it's then not even going to matter. If 400 people show up and we still just give away $80,000,
I think
that's what we're going to do.
It's not, I guess, real-time attendance, I guess, my guess would be historical attendance, right? They can look at the past and say, we know for, we don't know for a fact, but we know historically this GP has brought in about 1,500 people, and inside, we know that is a tier 2 event, and we know that this historically has 2,500 people, and that's a tier 3 event. So they're just saying, instead of doing it on the fly, we're just going to set these as we go, because we feel we have a good understanding of where they are going to be attendance-wise.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so it's not based on real-time attendance, it's just based on the past.
Oh,
I
slash
don't know.
anticipated
Sure.
attendance, right?
Yeah,
so it's
exactly.
and that's a fine way to run a tournament.
Sorry, did you want me to give you the dates for the
Local ones?
The local GPs?
Sure.
Or the local events?
Yeah.
So March 29th is Calgary.
Nice.
That's going to be modern.
Oh, we know the format of that.
That's the only one we know.
Oh, great. Okay.
Calgary in March.
End of
yeah.
March, yeah. Maybe. Yeah.
It's a little chilly.
But usually, okay, so last time I was at GP Calgary, you could get a room until pretty late. Like, I think I played and I was not early in planning my room.
I mean,
you
that's
get a room in the
Yeah.
GP venue.
I mean, again, Calgary in March. It's not
Yeah.
a world destination. You don't go to
Exactly.
Calgary in March. But okay.
But I just never went outside.
Seattle is June 20th.
Perfect.
That's great, yeah.
We got Vegas August 22nd.
So what, a month later? Or 2 months later, sorry.
And we got Portland December 20th. So
Which is Portland is the last of
yeah.
the year. And Portland this year
So
is...
we have one. There's
Vegas
one
was-
each
I think.
quarter.
Vegas was late August?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
August 22nd.
Yikes.
Oh,
Yeah, it's so...
that's a week before PAX.
Yeah, it's the week before
It's
PAX.
also just really hot.
Barf.
Yeah.
But I guess it's always hot in Vegas, although if we did Vegas, I guess they don't want to do Vegas in the winter because it's just such a big one. They want people to be out of school.
I'd want them to do Vegas in the spring where I could actually go outside.
Yeah.
Or December. How about
Honestly, Vegas in February.
Vegas in December.
I'm sure it's still warm.
Yeah. Oh, it is,
It's-
but yeah.
Yeah.
So, speaking of GP locations, however, there's been some other concerns from people who aren't from around here that for Latin America, which is to say all of South America and Mexico,
Yeah.
there are 2 GPs in 2019, and they're both in Sao Paulo,
Correct.
which there has been some objection from the South Americans. The general consensus, and this is from the South Americans, is that they don't have as much money, so the organizers don't really care,
I mean, it seems...
which sucks.
Yeah, it seems really odd, and again, I'm sure there's an internal business reason, but like, I don't understand why at least there isn't just like one in Sao Paulo, one in Mexico City,
Mexico City,
which
you would think.
is what
'Cause
they
there's one
normally
this year.
do. Yeah, I don't know.
Mexico City is
There's also-
really big too.
also the-
like there must be enough Magic players. there.
APAC region is like,
Right.
isn't there just ones in Japan? Like,
Is there a Malaysian one this year or
I
not?
believe the
Yeah.
ones in Hong Kong and Singapore and like mainland
Yep.
China are not happening in 2019.
Yeah, so I mean,
I should pull up the schedule.
Australia.
basically, North America is doing fine. Europe
Yeah.
got a lot less. APAC got less, and South America got less.
APAC is Asia Pacific.
Asia
region.
Pacific.
Yeah. So yeah, Oakland, Prague, New Jersey, Sydney, Toronto. So Sydney, Australia.
Yeah.
Toronto, Memphis, Strasbourg, Europe, Cleveland, LA, Tampa, Bilbao, Kyoto. There's Japan. Calgary, Sao Paulo, Niagara Falls, Yokohama, Japan. London, Madison, Kita-Kyushu, which I believe is also Japan.
That's Japan.
Yeah.
Providence, Kansas City. Oh, Taipei. There we go.
Okay, so
Okay.
there's one in
Washington,
Taipei.
D.C.
Also, sorry, where's Bilbao? Which country is that in?
Sweden?
Oh, okay.
Bilbao. Oh,
Bilbao
God
is-
damn it. I'm so sorry,
I can't remember.
Europeans. Copenhagen, Seattle, Dallas, Detroit, Denver, Barcelona, Chiba, Japan.
It's in Spain.
Thank you. It's in Spain.
Bilbao, Spain.
Bilbao,
Thank
Spain.
you. Okay.
And Barcelona.
Yeah.
Okay, so Spain.
Minneapolis, Birmingham, Vegas, Indianapolis, Ghent, Atlanta, Montreal, Utrecht, Bangkok. Okay, we got Bangkok as well. Phoenix, Lyon, Richmond, Sao Paulo again, Columbus, Bologna, Brisbane, Oklahoma City, and Portland. So yeah, there's 4 in Japan, 1 in Bangkok, and 1 in Taipei.
And then 2 in Australia.
Yeah, Brisbane and Sydney.
Are there about 10 in Europe though? Because
Europe-
Spain gets like 3. and
Europe
then
has Prague, Strasbourg,
Belgium got 1.
Bilbao,
Germany gets a few.
Copenhagen, Barcelona,
Is that in England or France, or was there one in France?
Ghent,
There's one in Belgium.
Utrecht, Lyon,
Okay.
and Bologna.
Isn't there London?
Oh, was it London?
Yeah.
Oh, and
Oh, I
London.
missed London.
Yeah, London.
Okay, so there's London and
That's-
there's Lyon.
So
Yeah.
that was 10.
Yeah, it's
and I
10.
think
10
this
in
year
Europe,
they had
one of which is in the UK.
Yeah, and I think they had 16 this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that.
But yeah, Hong Kong and Singapore don't have any anymore.
I think there's definitely like a balance of. It's like, yeah, you can go, okay, these are where we get the most, we get the most attendance. Let's just put them all here.
Mm-hmm.
But then at a certain point, there's also there's the value in, in just having an event, even if it isn't like the biggest event, but
Yeah.
just for
Yeah.
for the coverage.
100%.
100%,
You know,
yeah.
it's like
That's
I always
the
think
gem.
about like I mean it's not a private thing in the same way, but like for instance like the where we live here on an island, we have ferries to get everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Only one of the ferry lines makes any money,
Mm-hmm.
Victoria to Vancouver. But they run all the other ones because people need to get places.
Right.
And there's certain things that have to be done. And so it's like at a certain point, there's like people, the events are worth more than just the attendance, the raw number of people coming to the event, right?
It's worth
There's
it.
the sort of the community aspect. of
Yeah.
it.
Something else, just from what they've announced for the first quarter, I assume that it's a safe bet that the 4-day ones, for example, Los Angeles and Seattle, will be at the $80,000 tier.
Correct.
But they've announced the first quarter of the year, and none of them are the 80,000 level.
Interesting.
So, MagicFest Oakland is modern at 50,000.
Which
Magic
is the tier 3?
tier 2.
That's tier 2.
MagicFest
Right, yeah.
Prague
65
is limited at 65,000. New Jersey is limited at 50,000. Sydney is limited at 35,000. Toronto is modern at 50,000. Memphis, standard, 50,000.
Okay.
That's tier 2 of 4.
Yeah.
Right.
Standard in Memphis
Yeah.
is...
You
they-
expecting a lot of people to show up that
so
much?
I don't
Yeah.
think it's attendance based.
Right.
It would
yeah,
be
exactly.
interesting to see if they had like what the approximate distribution, like how many tier 4 events do they expect to do in the year?
Right. I guess we'll find out by the end of the year. Or maybe we'll find out by October, right, of next year.
There are,
I mean, it might be-
of what they've announced, there are 2 tier 3s and 1 tier 1. Most of them are tier 2.
Most of them are tier 2.
It might be the opposite. They might be trying to even out the attendance of these events because there's some value to that, right? Like it's easier to run a tournament that doesn't exceed your ability to staff and your ability to provide resources to run that tournament. So like getting a really, really high attendance, sure, it makes more money because you charge an entry fee off everyone. But on the other hand,
I think they're trying to ward people away.
well, and then maybe at the same time draw them into the less attended ones, right? So say they could be doing the opposite of rewarding people for attending. They could be saying, "Hey, we know everyone's going to show up and play standard in Memphis, so they only get $50,000." On the other hand, maybe we can dangle $65,000 prize pool in front of this, Montreal one or wherever it is that people don't tend to like swarm in as high numbers, and then more people will show up to try to get in on that prize pool.
It's got to feel bad for Australian players, though. They're only getting 2 in all of 2019, and at least one of them is the lowest prize pool they can offer.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't necessarily
I'm
surprise
not sure
me
if Australia
because-
tends to get more than 2, or between Australia and New Zealand. I don't know if they tend to get more than
They
2.
know,
Do
but
tend to get 3 or what?
I'm not saying that they are having less.
Sure.
I just mean they only get 2.
Right,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
And we know that one of them is the lowest possible of the 4 prize pools.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'm not expecting any of these Canadian ones to be the top prize pool either. So,
No.
No, the Toronto one was the 50,000, which is.
but
tier
we're
2.
close. We're closer to Seattle anyway, so we at least get to take part in that if we want to.
There's a
let's-
lot.
Okay, so what other announcements? We talked about the name. We talked about the schedule changes. Talked about the prize pool changes. They're hosting the Pro Tour at these Magic Fests.
Oh yeah, right.
So that's something they've done one time before. I want to say 2012.
Yeah.
It was a long time ago in Paris.
That's exciting. I like that. I like the idea that you can attend the Pro Tour, and I hope they have some sort of, because we went to a Pro Tour in Vancouver,
Right.
Because we were filming an episode of Friday Nights, and technically you can go. Like,
Yes.
they're technically open to the public.
For a
It's
little
just-
while they weren't.
Yeah,
Yeah, for a
but
little
technically
while.
they're open to the public. It's just there's nothing to do.
Yeah.
Like there's a Pro Tour exclusive merch shop. By the way, you probably have no idea that exists.
I don't even know if they do that anymore. I think back when we went to Vancouver, that's like one of the last few they did that, I think.
And they had like they had a couple sort of like new player draft pods that you could do. They had like a couple gaming tables.
Yeah.
And then a discreet little area for watching the coverage with like some couches and stuff and a big TV that you could watch what was happening.
That's cool.
And that was nice. I hope that is scaled up big time. I hope there is a viewing area where
stadium,
a bunch of people can watch the Pro
Twitch
Tour.
together. Yeah.
Yes.
That's cool.
Just because that's the sort of, that's one thing that I guess Jerry was talking about in his Jerry Thompson was talking about in his protest, is that like make it into more of a thing, like make people excited about
there.
the Pro Tour.
Yeah.
And so putting the Pro Tour at these Magic Fests is, I think, a fantastic idea, and I'm really excited about that. There, we found the other half of the compliment sandwich. There we are.
Yeah.
There we go.
Well, I
Did
do
it.
think that is a really,
great
really,
idea.
really good change.
The thing is, so from their point of view, I guess it's like it's been over a year now, or it's been one full year, right? Almost, where CFB Events has handled all of the GPs this year. So they have a ton of experience as a GP tournament organizer. But back in Paris, I'm sorry, I forget which exactly when that Paris GP / Pro Tour Big Magic weekend happened. It was like I have a friend who went to it, and he just said like the experience was tough. Paul Rietzel, by the way, I think top 8 at both events, and the judges and TOs waited for him a little bit to like run back and forth and play his matches, which is like one of the most amazing multi-game stories ever.
Wow.
But I think it was Paul Rietzel. Paul Rietzel, maybe Ben Stark. Anyways, but running that event obviously wasn't enough of a success that they decided to keep doing it year after year, right? Like they had a taste of that. I'm not sure who the TO was for that one, but you know, it's been tried before and met with some serious complications. So yeah, CFB is saying like, okay, we've got it together now enough. We know what steps we need to take to pull off running the Pro Tour inside of the Grand Prix at MagicFest. So yeah, I'm excited about that.
Is that what they've is that what they've said? Is that it's at a MagicFest, but is there a GP attached to that?
I don't. They haven't said. I would suspect.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
I would
Sorry.
suspect
We're
not.
making an announcement
No.
that hasn't been made yet.
Yeah.
Okay. But it'll be at a MagicFest.
Well, yeah, but
so
there's-
that means there'll be side events,
Yes.
right?
Well,
And
yes, but that's
Okay.
fine, right?
Right.
But that's also, I don't know, because
But maybe it means the Pro Tour will be the main event.
CFB doesn't run Pro
Yeah.
Tours.
Right.
Right. CFB has nothing to do with the Pro Tour.
Right.
The Pro Tour is Wizards' domain. That's their thing.
Yeah.
But CFB is running these Magic Fests.
CFB is running these Magic Fests, so possibly it will be, here's the Pro Tour, it's over here, come and watch it if you want. This is Wizards' domain, they're running everything here. But then all around it is Magic Fest, which is just mainly, at the Pro Tour level, probably essentially just side events, right? Like come, play Magic. I assume there'll be some vendors there probably. There are vendors at Pro Tours because there needs to be. People need to be able to get cards.
Yeah.
Maybe it won't be to the degree that a GP will, but I think if it's just a place where the public can come and sit down and watch and cheer and play games, and maybe not quite as big. Like I don't know if it makes sense to have like 2,000 people in this place playing Magic while there's also a Pro Tour going on. But like,
Can I get some clarification? Has it been announced that there definitely won't be a Grand Prix main
No.
event of these Pro Tours?
It has not.
Just hasn't been
There-
announced one way or the other.
There still could be. It has
Yeah.
not been announced either way.
And the first Pro Tour, but there should be a first Pro Tour in the first quarter, right?
What they said was the Pro Tours will happen at Magic Fests.
All right.
They didn't say there won't be
well,
a Grand Prix, but they certainly didn't say
we
there
have
was.
the schedule for
scheduled
both,
for
right?
January.
We know when the
February,
Pro.
March.
They've announced when the Pro Tours are next year, haven't they? They've certainly announced when the
We
where the
really did our
locations
homework
are.
before we recorded this podcast. We always do, but this one we really did. We dug in.
Because I know
None
they
of us
announced
were
all the
moving
locations.
last night.
It's
Our
not-
kids all slept for 12 hours straight. Yeah.
It's not listed on the
The GP schedule
the
page.
GP schedule.
Right. Okay.
And this is
Okay.
the Grand
So
Prix schedule.
I was going to say, do you want to talk about the there's also, in terms of Pro Tour, there's the Pro Tour qualifier stuff at the...
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's
that's
talk
the
about
other
that.
thing.
Let's jump to that. Hey, one of you in the comments has actually read all this, so I'd like for you to just tell us. I'm going to read it from your hand. Someone's
Yeah.
going to tell me whether or not we know if there will be a Grand Prix at the Pro Tour Magic Fests. A Grand Prix main event, I mean. Okay, they've also changed the path to the Pro Tour. PPTQs have been your first step to the path to the Pro Tour for the past, is it 3 or 4 years? It's been a little while. You can play a PPTQ at any Advanced Plus WPN store. So this is the WPN local gaming stores where a lot of Magic happens. They need to have had at least 32 players in the same event in order to get that status, and then they need to not be delinquent or jump through some other hoops and stuff. So you can just go to a store every season and play a PPTQ there. You can go to as many of them as you want. The stores mostly try in the same local area not to jam up against each other. And if you win a PPTQ, then you get to go play in an RPTQ. That's a regional Pro Tour qualifier. And then if you top 4, top 8, or top 2, depending on the attendance of the RPTQ, then you get invited to the Pro Tour and get the blue envelope and get your trip paid.
I hate to interrupt.
That's all changing.
Yeah,
Well,
hold on.
yeah, no,
Sorry.
I have it. You can stop typing. Person who was typing.
You've already typed. It's fine.
Yeah, I know.
I'm still going to come like and thank you.
The
Yeah.
first Pro Tour is February 22nd to 24th in Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay.
There is also at MagicFest Cleveland a limited Grand Prix
All right.
with a $50,000 prize pool.
There we go.
So yes, they have indeed announced there is a Grand Prix at the MagicFest, which is also hosting the Pro Tour.
So on the
We have the technology.
Menu. Go to these.
on
go to
the actual WotC, the Daily MTG article about it. So it says the Pro Tour Cleveland will be hosted at MagicFest Cleveland. Means if you bomb out at the first day of the Pro Tour, there's a whole festival of Magic for you to take part in for the rest of the weekend. And if you hang around these Magic Fest until Sunday, you can watch the latest Pro Tour champion receive their trophy, and then head back to the Commander game.
It's neat
you and
that
your
that
friends
article was
always
written
wanted get
to like those 200 people or
To
whatever.
note,
Obama
that still
persuaded.
doesn't actually say that there's a Grand Prix main event.
Right,
But
right, yeah.
because it's on the CFB schedule that there is a Grand Prix at
It does say
MagicFest
something that
Cleveland.
we had to work that hard just to answer that question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the Magic Fests always have Grand Prix at them.
But we don't know that.
No, we don't know that
that's
either.
that's what we like.
Oh.
The CFB events is called the Grand Prix schedule.
Yes, no, I we have just confirmed that, but we didn't until we looked that up.
But
We
like
didn't
that's what that
previously know
schedule is called. It is the Grand Prix 2019 schedule.
Yeah.
Okay, returning to Path to Pro Tour. I just explained
Please,
how it used
yes.
to work.
How does it work now?
Now it's going differently. There's not going to be PPQs in store anymore. Instead, oh, sorry, I didn't mention, you can also make it to the Pro Tour by like winning / top 4ing / getting a certain record that would be equivalent to top 4ing a Grand Prix. That also gets you an invite, although I think not airfare. Because
Right, yeah.
you get a bunch of money instead. So yeah, if you win a Grand Prix, basically that's the same. That's just as good or better than winning an RPTQ. And those are, I believe, the two ways. Other than like Hall of Fame, there's been some special event invites. I know Day9 didn't win an RPTQ or anything. So yeah, occasionally you're just there because you're really good at Hearthstone, but most of the time you win an RPTQ or you win a Grand Prix, and that's how you get on. And then if you do well at the Pro Tour, you can also secure an invite to the next one. Or if you're just a pro club level, that gets you invites as well.
Yeah.
So now there are going to be PTQs again. So the GP entrance to the Pro Tour will remain the same. You'll still be able to win enough at a GP to get an invite to the Pro Tour, but you won't be able to go to a PPQ in store that will feed an RPQ. Instead, there will be open PTQs that are just like the old PTQs, the old Pro Tour qualifiers that individual tournament organizers and then eventually stores were running before PPQs showed up. So like the store I work at, Yellow Jacket, we ran, I want to say 6 PTQs ever because we were allowed to start running PTQs as the PTQ like disbursement was increasing for a little while there. This is back in like 2011, 2012. We started getting to
Do you
run
think
PTQs.
it's going to get back up to that level, or is it starting at that level?
Well, I mean, they've extended the Pro Tour attendance by 2 Pro Tours next year, right?
Yeah.
So that means they are handing out more Pro Tour invites.
So you think
than
one
they
day
used
we'll
to.
run PT?
Oh, I don't. I mean, we'll apply. So to get to run an open invite PTQ, there's going to be an application process that's available to best in class. They don't say advanced plus exactly. They say just the best WPN stores and professional tournament organizers, which is how it used to be run a stage before that. So before some stores were running real PTQs, this is before the PTQ thing, and before that stage, they were just kind of regional PTQs. They were just called PTQs. They weren't called PTQs, but there were PTQs like one per set per region, run by professional, separate tournament organizers, and that role is kind of coming back. That role had disappeared once the WPN put kind of everything into stores.
Right.
So there's an interesting shift there. That's kind of like there's a shift 7 or 8 years ago or whatever, was like all Magic should be like headed into LGS stores, and now it seems like, you know, that like you can buy your boxes on Amazon, and then also there's professional tournament organizers coming back as an option. So there'll be open ones, and then I want to finish though. There's also going to be mysterious invite-only PTQs, and right now the RPTQ is an invite-only PTQ. You have to win a PTQ to get there, but they've said the invite will be determined by something. I don't know if it's going to be Planeswalker points. I don't know if it's going to be certain standing, like maybe you'll need pro points but not already have an invite to the pro tour. I don't know. So go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, just this is sort of unrelated to the PTQ thing, but just because you mentioned it, because we talked about the change to WotC distribution.
Oh, okay.
Previously. I know you're just coming back to YJ from parental leave, but do you have, like as someone who works at a local game store, do you have a perspective on the Amazon and Walmart thing? Because not to put words in your mouth, some people on, you know, there was a big furor about like, you know, defend the LGS,
right?
And some people on, for example, the subreddit were going, I work at an LGS and no one buys boxes from us anyway, so this isn't a big deal.
Oh wow, no, yeah, people buy boxes from us.
Okay.
And they're generally looking for the best price. Like, you know, I was a customer before I worked at the store, and yeah, I always want to like pay the least for my Magic cards if possible. Like that's just the position that everyone who plays is in. So if you're looking for sealed product, you usually will go where you can either get the best price or if there's some kind of value added. Like we do get people letting us know when they buy from us, like, oh, I like supporting you guys, and like that's code for like, hey, I know you're not the cheapest price, but like, so it's tough, right? Like Magic is such a weird model.
Now, Amazon and Walmart aren't going to get, and Target aren't going to get
buy box
the buy box promos.
Yeah, so that's nice. The one we got for this set is really good, kind of. I mean, it's just a big dumb indestructible
So, but
guy,
like how
people want it. So,
do you think that again, I know that you're only talking for YJ, and even then.
We sell boxes though, like we really sell them. Yeah.
Like, how do you think that's going to be real bad for you guys, or not actually? Like, is it even a big? You don't have to get deep into the woods here, but like,
not real bad.
Is selling boxes like that?
Is it even
that big of a?
So we're a really small store. We don't even have an online presence.
Yeah.
Right. Like we don't we're like a store from 1994.
No, I've seen your computers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like we don't even sell cards online. We just have a physical location where we sell stuff. So already we you know, some of our business that we would otherwise get if it didn't exist goes to the stores like Card Kingdom that will sell cards online, and I feel like Amazon showing up is probably adding another 5% of like a hit or something like that.
Question.
Some small amount. Yeah.
How much do you sell a box of Guilds of Ravnica for?
It's going to be $160 after tax Canadian.
$159.99 on Amazon.ca right now.
.ca.
Yeah.
So that's, you don't have to pay shipping if it's Amazon Prime?
The same price.
Same price. So you could wait 2 days and get it to your door. I'm not going to carry it to your door for you.
I think in Canada, it's
Is that before
probably.
tax, though?
I think. Yeah. Like. Okay, hold on. I'll go through the process
There you
here.
go.
I think.
Come to YJ.
This is a much bigger thing in the U.S. than it is in Canada.
Right. Okay.
Right. I think because I don't know how much it is.
Because they're paying duty and they don't. You know, they have to go through distribution channels just like all of our distributors. And or people that go to WotC directly, you can buy.
It's going to be $167.99.
There you go. Save money. Shop Yellow Jacket.
And I have Amazon Prime, so
yeah, of course you do.
Well, there we are.
James couldn't resist getting Amazon Prime. A lot of subscriptions.
Also, man, we pay a lot of money for our booster boxes here in Canada.
Yeah.
Because like if I go to Amazon,
$90. I remember. So Wedge, by the way, the mana
source. Yeah.
Source. He really stood up and shouted out for LGSs, and thanks, Wedge. Appreciate that. And I think you were right. I watched that whole 15-minute or 20-minute tirade or whatever you did after the Amazon video, and it's like, yeah, you know, it's still, even if it doesn't hurt us real badly. I still just think it's shitty, you know, because like
Fair.
His main point that I really liked is just like they came out with a line that was just like, oh, we need to make sure, like, and Mark Rosewater tweeted, you know, towing the company line pretty well, like, oh, we need to make sure that everyone who is just on the internet can get Magic cards. And it's like, well, where are you exactly that Amazon ships to you, but dozens, if not hundreds of other stores won't? Like if you Google search or any whatever search engine, you Bing search like buy Magic the Gathering sealed product, like the top hit is probably Card Kingdom, right? It's still not Amazon, you know? So it's like, it's not like you can't already buy
They're,
Magic on the internet.
$97.92 on Amazon.com.
For American.
Yeah, that's American.
Right. Yeah, so.
Yeah, some folks were saying that this is actually. I saw some folks saying that like it doesn't actually, the Amazon prices don't necessarily compare that unfavorably to the local game store so much as places like Card Kingdom or CFB or Star City.
Oh, really? Okay.
That they were able to sell for less than the local game stores.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But now they have competition.
Oh, so it's like SCG, CFB, and Card Kingdom, like any of the really
And
big
cool stuffing.
cool stuff.
Yeah,
TCG, yeah,
TCG player. Well, TCG players weird because they know.
Well,
they're
yeah,
like
they're
little people.
mostly singles.
But yeah, if you're a really big, successful Magic empire, then you sell a lot of sealed product online. You are like getting hurt.
Yeah,
But that's
I
only,
think
it's like a handful of people, right? It's like the 1% of Magic Store
Yeah,
owners.
yeah.
Weird. That's just weird.
It seems to me like it's worse for them than
Okay.
it is for someone like
Right. So,
Yellow
so
Jacket.
if you own one store and it's kind of small and you have 3 employees,
Because like the majority of
this
people,
doesn't matter if you.
yeah,
have
well, the
much, right?
majority of
Yeah.
people going into
Yeah.
their local game stores, generally speaking, at least I would think, would be there for singles.
Right.
Like I would assume that Yellow Jacket, like most stores, makes more money on their single sales than they do on their.
We just
sealed
sell more
product.
singles, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
We sell packs, but we sell
Yeah,
more.
well, absolutely. Yeah.
That said, when we're done recording, we need to come over and buy a booster box for the draft tonight.
Great. We still have that. We still have that worm in stock.
Hey, cool.
Yeah. Sorry. Speaking of end of the recording, we should probably do that. I need to go to work.
Yeah, exactly. So we covered a bunch of different stuff there, more than I expected us to. But hey, that's nice.
We can talk.
Everyone likes value. Yeah, that'll do it for this week. Thank you so much for joining us. As a reminder, the show is brought to you by CardKingdom.com. Check out CardKingdom.com/LRR. And as always, this show and everything we do is brought to you directly by you and your kind support of our Patreon at patreon.com/LoadingReadyRun. So, until next time, I am Graham, and that is James,
Yo.
and that is Nelson, and we'll talk to you next time.